Hi, I'm Nick Thomas. This is the Box Score Podcast. I'm here with Mason, Mike, and Con. How's everyone feeling?
It's good. Good. We're recording the morning of May 12th. So for all the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day.
Of course. Well, we are right in the midst of the second round of the playoffs. Obviously, we're about 3 games into each series. Right, it's been very interesting so far, especially in the East. Personally, Mike, what are your thoughts so far? Any particular series you've had an eye on?
OKC and Dallas all day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I know everybody's like super excited about what OKC is doing, what they've been doing, but in this series for me, it was about whether experience would shine through or maybe the youth can learn on the fly like they've been doing, and they can take what they did in the regular season into the postseason and actually make some real noise. Like that first round was a watch. It was like, but now they're playing like Kyrie Irving, who was a champion. They have a championship level coach and Jason Kidd. They got Luca. What I mean, they got Luca Doncic. So it's just like, okay, what can you do now that Dallas has assembled this team around them that fit better than they did last season? So let's see what you got. Let's see what happens when you get dissected by players who have been a part of playoff experiences and whatnot, and then you getting parts of your game and parts of your game plan nitpicked at, and certain players just getting shoved out the way. Like, okay, we're gonna put shut that person out, and we're gonna, So let's see how OKC responds to that. Can they be like a Golden State from the past where they're the baby thunder and then they just suddenly get through it. Like I look at the nods. Look at the nods. I mean, I don't think so either because there's no Steph Curry over there. No diss to SGA, but they don't have somebody as devastating in offense as devastating, or we probably wouldn't be seeing this series go the way that it would, or that it has been going. It would probably be because what it's split now, right? Like OKC would be up 3-1 if it was something, better about them. Like if they could figure it out and get through it, but I don't think they will. Like Luca's on one leg, basically. He hurt himself every game. Oh, my leg, and then his ankle, and then his face. Like, and you still can't stop.
Can I just say, every time it comes to offense, he's magically healed. Suddenly,
Yeah,
it's fun. That's the way I look at it. It's only on defense he seems to
exactly.
be competing. But I'm gonna throw it over to Con, our resident Chet fan. Right? What have you seen from Chet so far in this series?
Well, Michael said it tongue in cheek about the idea of guys pushing and shoving. I'm going to take it literally. This was, I think, our concern for Oklahoma City's chances to go far in the playoffs. As much as I love Chet, he is getting shoved. He is
Yeah,
getting shoved around. And I mean, kudos to Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, and to an extent also um, PJ Washington. Like, none of them have any go-to low post moves or anything, but they're all hard rim runners. And once they get a full head of steam, like they are literally just running right through Chet. And I mean, you know, he's still great. He's a great weak side blocker, but once they get like in a deep position, I mean, they're just eating him up. And that was my thing. It's this Thunder roster, they're extremely talented. Hindsight's 2020. We all kind of scratch our heads as to why they didn't really pick up, another big man at the trade deadline. But I mean, even Arkansas's Jalen Williams, like you saw it in yesterday's game. I mean, make no mistake, there are things that he and Chet do well, but the things that they don't do well, they're just completely being exposed. And I'm glad, even though the Thunder swept New Orleans, they gave some game film of how Dallas, they gave some game film to Dallas of how, they can attack, the Thunder's backline defense. And so far, that's what they've been doing, and from there, it's from the out or the inside to outside. So, um, yeah. I mean, it's taxing. It's clearly taxing on Chet, and it's affecting in turn. It's affecting his offense.
Right. Well, I think the Mavericks really sort of figured something out here in terms of not just against Thunder, but really about their team as a whole, right? And I think they're suddenly in my opinion, a contender, really. And I think they believe they're a contender, right? I think that's the important thing. I mean, if you look back maybe 2 months ago, I think we would all agree that both Luka and Kyrie have to have an amazing night every night, right? I mean, at least 28 points each, right? They're both going to have consistent, high volume impact on the offensive end. Right, but in game 3, up until the intentional foul free throws right at the end, Kyrie Irving only had 7 points. It was his defensive impact, his rebounding, his shot creating, and his playmaking that actually made the difference, right? They no longer need, like, they've gelled well enough as a team that they no longer even need guys like Kyrie to lead the way, right? He can take a step back on any given night. And don't get me wrong, like, he's also able to, he can still go out and give you 30, 35 sometimes, right? He's one of the best, most skilled offensive players we've ever seen. And we have seen that during the playoffs. But I think it's really scary that they've figured out a way to they don't have to use that, right? They're not a one-trick pony. They don't just have to have the Luka and Kyrie show every single time on offense, right? They've unlocked PJ Washington. They've unlocked Derek Lively in the pick and roll, right? I wish Charlotte unlocked PJ Washington a bit earlier, but that's another conversation for another day, right? Mason, you haven't really mentioned much. Why don't you take us off from here?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things to talk about with this series right now. Dallas, with the head coach signing up Jason Kidd, I bet Kidd just probably feels so much more comfortable in that locker room, and who knows, like, that probably did a lot for this team to kind of know that this is a core that they're going to stick with for kind of the foreseeable future. And I think that's got to be a huge motivation, especially in the playoffs, just to have a deal like that go down. Because now this whole team kind of has like an extra boost of confidence of like, okay, our front office believes in us. So props to them. That's got to be a good thing. And I think that's probably a factor why they're doing so super well in this series right now. But it's only game 3. The Thunder have not lost the series yet. I still think that it's going to be a series. Oh, yeah. But we need to talk about like the Thunder, OKC Thunder. They already won this year. Like, even if they don't win the NBA title, there's an argument to be made that they probably had the best season out of everyone. They jump in from a play-in team to the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. That's a huge jump. I don't know too many teams who missed the playoffs and go as a 1 seed and they kept the same core basically. That's just unheard of. Chet, I mean, he's getting bullied out there because you know how scrawny he is, but he's still getting 3 blocks a game. And SGA looks like an MVP caliber player. And you have all these guys, these bench guys that, they're getting paid nickels and they're so young and they're getting this playoff experience underneath their belt. Like the OKC Thunder, I think will lose this series in 6. But this season and this series has shown that like this team is going to be here for a while and they're going to be really, really good. And they're losing to a good Dallas team that, kind of has a little bit more pressure or more, continuity than this Thunder team, at least in playoff experiences. Like the Thunder team, they don't really have too many veteran guys. Gordon Hayward is probably like one of their, playoff vet. He's played 9 games and he's been scoreless in those 9 games thus far. So I think for this Thunder team, looking on with all their cap space for the future, I mean, they just need to get bigger. They just need – I know Josh Giddey's on that team, but they need body development. I mean, they're young. They're going to fill out eventually. So, like, just give this team time. I still think it's going to be a series. I still think they have a chance to bounce back. But I think with the Dallas confidence right now, I think this series might lean Dallas for the next 2 or 3 games until the series is over.
Yeah, I mean, this is a little bit off topic, but I mean, just how well this OKC team has been constructed is remarkable, right? You mentioned how cheap some of these guys are. I got a list here. Cason Wallace next year will make $5.5 million. Isaiah Joe next year will make $2.1 million. Aaron Wiggins will make $1.9 million. Right? Everyone's going out there and saying they need to cash in on these picks, right? Go get a star. I don't even think they need a star. I think they just run it back with what they got, right? This is one of the deepest teams in the NBA. They got some of the best value contracts in the NBA from player 1 through player 14, right? Everyone can go out there and provide something, right?
Yeah.
And they're all, you're not overpaying anyone, right?
That's a great point, Nick. Like this Thunder team will be exciting for multiple reasons. Like just looking back at it, but I think something that they're the first ever team to do is having all this young talent and having all these picks. So it's going to be really interesting to see what Sam Presti does with his good young core now, and like, do you just kind of like let the picks like kind of sit on the shelf, collect dust, and maybe like fade into less picks? Like it's just going to be an interesting thing. Like how do you handle a situation like this? We've never seen like a scenario that like a young team has all these owns like a quarter of the draft picks in the next 7 years. Like it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of power and monopoly that they could kind of hold over the Western Conference or even the NBA in general. So it's just it's a fun time. Just as an
I totally agree, right?
I think let me throw a monkey wrench in there.
Yeah,
they got a pretty good pick this offseason too, right?
Yeah, I believe they have the next pick.
Watch they go draft Bronny.
Who knows?
Come on over, Brian. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, who knows?
But yeah, as Mason sort of said, I mean, I don't think they should. Again, off topic here, we'll switch back from this in a minute. But I don't think they should go to star chasing it all this summer, right? Like, the worst thing you can do with a team like this is go out and get a bad contract, right? A long-term contract with a whole lot of money tied into it, right? Just off the top of my head, right? Playoff teams have just been ruined by going out and star chasing like that. You got the Lakers repeatedly over the years, most recently with Russell Westbrook, right? We went from a championship team to a team that missed the playoffs and a team that was in the play-in, directly due to that signing.
Yeah,
right, and no fault to Russell Westbrook here. Obviously, I think he was just put in the wrong situation.
But Thunder haven't lost this series yet. So I mean, also it's game 3. Things happen. People go. I mean, blowing a 1-0 lead isn't crazy. They were up one game. So I mean, it's interesting. Game 4 will be huge though. In Dallas, down 2-0. But yeah, I probably don't think they do anything this offseason if they did lose anything significant. But yes, I agree with you. Like this young core, they seem like they like each other, and it would be a shame if they were broken up just off vibes.
They do all their post game interviews together.
I know, that's great.
I love that. Man. I love watching those.
Yeah, it's amazing.
They definitely give a smile to my face. I love seeing that.
Definitely make them lovable.
Yeah,
yeah, the barking.
There's one thing actually.
It's strange, but I love it.
One more thing about this Dallas Thunder series. I think Mason brings up a good point about how the team has kind of been like potentially galvanized by Jason Kidd's, extension. We talk about buy-in from a team, and how does that manifest? And it seems like with the Mavericks, like, let's be clear. I think most would agree Luka and Kyrie are not good defensive players. They are not.
Mm-hmm.
But you can at least see they are really trying their asses off out there, and they have been making, key, steals, deflections, blocks, throughout this entire series and in the first series against the Clippers. I mean, it could be maddening for a coach because it's like, man, you could do that now. Why can't you do that more often in the regular season? And, that's a conversation for them, for the off season. But at least, it is really refreshing to see, Austin Rivers made that comment the other day about like, oh, NBA players playing in the NFL and vice versa. I mean, look at Luka out there, like a freaking free safety, man. Just like, going cross court, getting steals, leading the fast break. I mean, that is when, potential is really culminating into something. And so, whether there is, kind of a cause and effect there between, their relationship with Jason Kidd, I don't know, but it seems like they've really found something. Like, at least Kidd's found a way to, spark their interest on that end of the floor. And that's what makes them dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Plus,
absolutely. Well,
he's a playmaking coach as well too. Like he's good with guards and playmaking players. So
Yeah.
I think that helps.
all right. Well, I think it's time to sort of move on to the 3-2 matchup in the West. We've got the Timberwolves and the Nuggets. Right, first game, the Timberwolves played a fantastic defensive game. Second game, Nuggets laid an egg, handed it to Timberwolves, and in the third game, the Timberwolves laid an egg. Con, what are your thoughts so far?
I mean, I actually, with the Timberwolves, there's a case to be made. I mean, offensively, right? They can become more dynamic. The Timberwolves, that is, they can become more dynamic when Gobert is not on the floor, right? Because at that point, you have the option, you have the ability to say, like, you could play 5 out, if you're now playing both Naz Reid and Karl Anthony Towns together. And that is just completely, stretching, Denver's D. So in a weird way, I mean, yeah, it was advantageous for them in game 2. But I mean, yeah, I think kind of what we assumed. The Timberwolves are presenting a lot of, size, length, to disrupt the off-ball action by the.
Nick, what are you laughing about, man?
What is so funny, right? You just got me laughing because he laughing.
What's up?
I'm not laughing about nothing.
Okay.
Just mine went into the gutter, and I could see it, and I just didn't know how I should say it.
It wasn't that funny. They'd be looking at each other.
Wait, what?
No.
You said, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, Nick can explain it to you, but yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to cut you off. I saw Nick giggling, and I just thought this may be funny to go down a rabbit hole. But I'm sorry, Con. We interrupted you.
Go for it. Go for it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I can take over, and people can just jump in whenever. But I'm a big Timberwolves guy. I thought they were going to have a kind of a resurgence year a little bit. Didn't think they were going to be this good, but I thought they were going to be kind of like a playoff team just because they were kind of figuring things out again with Gobert last season. Last season when they played the Nuggets Wolves, they looked like kind of the good team to do it. They got a game on the Denver. This was like the first year together, and then this year I feel still shocked that they're up 2-1. I mean, my Lakers lost to the Nuggets, and I do think the Nuggets are kind of the best team in basketball. But when you look at the Denver Nuggets defense, their weaknesses, it's really turns into the Timberwolves' strength. The Timberwolves are a big team. They have a lot of size. And the Denver Nuggets have not been a good three-point shooting team this year. And they've had to rely on scoring a lot of points in the paint. And with Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns isn't even a good defender, but he's trying out there. You got Anthony Edwards, you got Naz Reid, you got some size, you got Jaden McDaniels, you got some guys who really put, some defensive thought in their defense. And when the Denver Nuggets are like having to shoot more threes or they're having to pull up for more mid-range shots, they are struggling right now. And I think that's a big reason why they're 2-1. So I think with the series continuing to mature and adapt, and as we get more and more games into this the series, it's going to be interesting to see how many points the Denver Nuggets score in the paint. The first game, the game that they just won, was the only game thus far in the series that they have scored more points in the paint than the T-Wolves, and it's not pretty. They're not scoring that many points in the paint. They're actually very minimum. This Timberwolves defense, I know they were the number one defense in the NBA, but being up 2-1, I don't feel like they're getting as much praise as they need to for not just keeping the scoring down for the Nuggets, but also just keeping out like point paints in general. They're not scoring that many points in the paint. If you guys look at the team stats for over the last 3 games, you'll be kind of shocked about just how good of defense the Timberwolves have been applying to the reigning champions. Has anyone else kind of noticed the defense about the Timberwolves kind of, putting aside on the Nuggets?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what I was trying to get at earlier. Is
Yeah.
that they're really disrupting a lot of their off-ball action, the Nuggets that
Mhm.
is, right? And
Yeah.
so, I mean, of course, Jokic can create for himself, but I mean, it becomes a lot more difficult to string along consistent possessions when you're basically having to kind of grind down and then try to make something happen late in the shot clock each time. There's no rhythm, there's no consistency. So what do you think about it, Mike?
Um, I was uh I just love what the Timberwolves are able to do on offense against this team. And and I mentioned this, I don't know, maybe on some like throwaway podcast I might have did or something, but that Denver was going to miss Bruce Brown. Like right now, they could use Bruce Brown, especially if Jamal Murray is hobbled, and you know what I mean. Like he can't be relied upon to be a secondary playmaker alongside Jokic because Jokic is kind of having to really do it all by himself. Like more and more, it seems like with this series. You know what I mean? Maybe not so much last game, but I mean, I won't get ahead of myself and say that the Nuggets just blew the Lakers the hell out. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't; those were five tight games. Like yeah, they got gentlemen swept out of here, but it's not like they were beating the Lakers by 30 every time. So
Yeah.
it's something there, especially when it comes to having like a 3 or 4 man like LeBron size, and then another big like Anthony Davis size. Timberwolves have that plus Anthony Edwards. So imagine if the Lakers had Anthony Edwards. You know what I mean? Instead of like Austin Reeves. Well, no, I'll lead a shooter. And just say they had Austin Reeves. Plug him in for free. And what does that series look like when you have that other athlete that's that dynamic that can get out in transition with LeBron, Austin Reeves, get shots up and stuff like that? Like, cause he's 3 level, not so many weaknesses. And that might be what they're seeing now. They might be seeing, okay, well, damn, okay, so the Lakers had those two pieces, but they didn't have this. So it's just a matter of, um, I would say Mike Conley would be, and we'll get to that segment when we talk about it. But I think Mike Conley has been very instrumental in a lot of this as well too, just because of his presence. You know what I mean? Because you remove him from this, how does this look? You know what I mean? So yeah.
Right. Well, sort of going off the back of sort of what you said, I think a really underappreciated part so far of their playoff run is the fact that they've grown from the 17th ranked offense during the regular season to the #1 offense, right?
Yeah.
And on top of
Ooh.
that, this is the first game they've lost of the playoffs, which is something that's been,
Mhm.
I think, completely overlooked in the media. And maybe this is, from what we've seen, right? This would seem like a stupid question because we've seen this team hit a whole nother level this playoffs, but they're up against the team that we universally agree was the best team on the planet, right?
Mhm.
And
the
they
most part.
actually they're up, right? So this is a maybe a really dumb question, but do you think they can actually beat the Nuggets? Because this team seemed unbeatable all through the season, all through the first round of the playoffs. This team seemed unbeatable.
I mean, personally, I'm still, I know it sounds like, obviously we live in an era right now where you want to have some kind of definitive statement. No, I'm not counting out the Nuggets yet. I'm not. Obviously, it's so much easier, right? After we see game 4 and whether it's 2-2 or the Timberwolves are up 3-1. But I mean, I was, I think kind of talking to you guys like, off air. I think, between games 2 and 3, I was saying like there are some adjustments that the Nuggets could make defensively that could potentially not necessarily swing the series in their favor, but try to bring it back more to a level playing field. Putting Aaron Gordon, having him check Anthony Edwards from the get-go, not off of a switch, has been huge, because he's icing him up, higher up the court, and it's now, kind of cutting the court in half. It's making it easier for like Jokic and the other guys to kind of defend. There's less space to defend because it's really they're shifting the offense to they're forcing the Timberwolves to shift the offense to only one side of the court. And obviously Minnesota will likely try to find a way to adjust to that. But I mean, there are certain schemes that the Nuggets are going to that gives me reason to believe that this is still going at least 6. So
Right. Well, I mean, let's just say, like, hypothetically, I think we can all agree that if the series goes 3-1 after game 4, we can all say that it's pretty likely that the Timberwolves will walk away with this, right? But let's say it's 2-2. Who are you backing?
Denver.
Conclusively, not even a second thought.
If they win both road games, like in Minnesota, and then they go back to game 5 in Denver, like that's got to be a huge morale swing right there.
But they were going back to Denver. Minnesota's won both the road games so far. What's to say they can't win another one?
No. But if the series goes tied 2-2, that means the Nuggets have won both games in Minnesota on the road. So it's like it kind of washes away their mistakes that they made at home.
Yeah, but I mean, the way I'm looking at it is Minnesota's proved that they can perform away. Like there isn't really a massive home court advantage, seemingly, right? In Denver. Denver are the
over. Well, go ahead, keep going. Go ahead, finish.
Denver's the highest seed, right? They have home court advantage.
Correct.
And so, and I'm not saying that somehow being away is an advantage, right? But they've proven they can play away, and the majority of the games remaining are going to be played away.
Yeah.
After game 4, obviously, it's 2-2.
I'm still just shocked with this Timberwolves team because like I did think they were a good team, but like the fact that like it's the Nuggets that are down 2-1, like the gap is a lot less than I thought it was. I thought it was a bigger gap. Found out it's lesser, but I still think if Denver wins game 4, I just feel like those first 2 games just kind of go out the back window for the Timberwolves. They just because in that way they just kind of blew their shot. They were up 2-0 on the reigning champs, and then they blew their 2 home games, game 3 and 4. I think the series would be just done over at that point. I think it would maybe go 6, but I just feel like if Denver wins game 4, the momentum goes all the way back to Denver. Right now, I feel like it's the Timberwolves series to win. I feel like they're the favorites to win this series, but if the Nuggets win game 4, I think the series is concluded in 6. That's
right.
my thoughts on it.
Nuggets.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
I was just gonna say what Mason's saying. Momentum, like to me, the momentum would be a result. Momentum in the favor of Denver, that is, would be the result of the Timberwolves not finding a way to counter Denver's counter moves.
Yeah.
See, like they're out of counters, and if that's the case, then that's kind of my feeling. Like, if it becomes 2-2, then it tells me Minnesota hasn't found a way to solve it, and Denver's got.
The Nuggets aren't a good 3-point shooting team, but last game they did get hot over 3, and they were able to keep the Timberwolves for like shooting 43% off in the field. So who knows if they could keep that out next game, that would be monumental. But this Nuggets team hasn't been like a great 3-point shooting team. They haven't been too reliant on it. So that's going to be interesting. I think game 3 also felt the Nuggets won in a different way than how they usually win a basketball game. So that's another thing just to watch out for. So this series I think has everyone's attention though, which is awesome. I've been talking to a lot of people just in my work and just in my field, and it just seems like everyone just has eyes. Like the casual fan has eyes on this series, and I think that's something really fun, and it's good that it's kind of like 2 small market teams. So I'm excited where the series goes.
You know why the casual fans are on this team in the series?
Anthony Edwards and Jokic.
No, not Jokic. I don't believe it's Jokic.
And Jokic. It's a combo.
Okay, Jokic is by far the better player in the series, right? Best player in the world, right? Anthony Edwards is the draw right now. He has that new toy shine to him, right? He's been touted as the next face of the league. So I just sort of want to transition to that. What do you guys think about that? Anthony Edwards being the next guy. I mean, we had Tyrese Halliburton at one point during the season. There's been potentially the next face of the league. That faded really, really quick with these injuries, right?
Give me 2 or 3 more years of that from Anthony Edwards. And then, because they tried to launch different people to the forefront. Yes, Ja Morant. And we just have to just let it have time. Everybody's waiting for the next star, waiting for the next star, for the next star. And he's got what it takes. He's got the it factor. He's got the mentality. I still remember them saying that, like during the draft time, does Anthony Edwards, does he have, he's lazy? Does he have the heart? Does he love the game? And then every time I watch this, man, I'm like, y'all really said that stupid stuff?
I'm pretty confident he loves the game of basketball.
When you talk about football and only football in a basketball interview, it gives people pause, okay?
Yeah, but he plays basketball. So, you know what I mean? Because it's just like I talk about basketball and football conversations because I don't know, or to football people because of basketball.
Just on a raise of hands, real quick. Who thinks he's a top 10 guy in the NBA right now?
Right now,
But
without really like going into it and considering the candidates, just off the top of my head, like a range.
Yeah. Just right now. Yeah. Like I'm just trying to think about it. Like I think he has the potential to be the face of the league, but I think this postseason, I mean the playoffs I don't really like to change my opinions a lot till like it comes to the postseason. But I think Anthony Edwards is, if he isn't 10, he's on the verge of a top 10 guy in the league. But like I think of just a name brand, he's probably top 3 right now. But it's awesome what he's doing right now. But I'm very excited to see where the Timberwolves go this season and just for the state of the NBA, like what Anthony Edwards can do to the NBA.
All right. Well, speaking about top 10, right? We had this discussion earlier in the year. Is Jalen Brunson a top 10 player?
Yeah.
Moving over to the New York series.
Could be, yeah.
Right. Jalen Brunson so far has, in this playoff run, I believe wholeheartedly shown he's a top 10 player in this league. Right. Mm-hmm. The New York Knicks are no longer that strange new team model without a top 10 player because they have a top 10 guy. His name's Jalen Brunson. Right. So, Mike, what are your thoughts?
Jalen Brunson is a prototypical point guard. You know what I mean? Like it's not many point guards coming along that have the capability to raise the floor and ceiling of your team the way that he has. And we've seen it through various injuries to his teammates, and they still maintain some level of competition. They are still in every game. Did he score 40 the last game too? Like, doesn't he have like 5 or 6 40-point games in a row, something like that?
It was 4 in a row, and there was a 39 at the start of it.
Yeah, that's 40.
Yeah,
but it's just like, come on, man. Like when you have the ability to not only will your team, but carry them as well offensively overall, just being a facilitator, being an orchestrator, like, man, yeah, he's in my top 10 right now. If I had to have a top 10, or if somebody tell me to make a list, I would make sure he's in it right now. Because I mean, I don't understand how. I mean, if Kyrie Irving was over there in place of Jalen Brunson, is New York in this position? And I love Kyrie Irving. Do you guys see that? Absolutely not. If James Harden was in New York instead of Jalen Brunson, is New York in this? I'm serious. Are they in this position?
Whatever Jalen Brunson is having for breakfast in the morning, they got to bottle that shit and sell it. Yeah, I don't know what he's on, but he's taking a whole other step this season. It's insane.
Yeah,
I would put him in the top point guard in the league discussion right now.
Did Kidd make it over there to coach him for that last season, or was that still Carlisle?
Yeah, it was Kidd.
It was Kidd.
Yeah.
So
Jason, he's got a way with unlocking point guards, man. Like whatever Jason Kidd gave to him, he kept it and is going to the next level.
I was looking at the stats. So I'm not crazy high on Brunson. I think he's having a great year. I think this is probably I would be shocked if he got better than what he is right now. I think this is his peak right now, and that's not.
He's like what, 26?
Yeah, but like when you look at his stats, like I think the Knicks team is on a good high right now, but like I think the Eastern Conference is a little bit weaker than the the Western Conference, and I don't think that's actually. I know that's a fact. It is weaker than the Western Conference, but the fact is he's taken 27 shots in this playoff. Like he leads the league right now in the postseason just shots. Like the second guy is Luka, and it's a 4 or 5 shot differential.
Wow.
So like Jalen Brunson is the primary scorer for the Knicks, and like I don't like to get deceived by the usage stat stuff. Like Russell Westbrook, you have all these great guys, James Harden, high usage guys. They're tasked with the offense, and you just see that like it just kind of wears on them. The thing, that usage rate, it works for a while, but until teams become predictable. But I don't really believe in this Knicks team too much, and they don't have Randall. They're doing great for what they have right now. Josh Hart's like playing like an Iron Man right now. Like he's playing like he has 3 hearts, 3 legs, just running around everywhere, just grabbing anything. Yeah, you can quote me on that.
Straight
what I
alien.
just said. But
3 hearts.
3 hearts, 3 hearts.
I think I know what I'm gonna use for the announcement, man.
Yeah. But I don't believe in Jalen Brunson and a long-term guy. I think he's doing great right now, but I think there's probably 10 guys in the NBA I'd rather build around than Jalen Brunson or just have on my team before I get Jalen Brunson. But I think this is his peak right now, and I think he's doing awesome things for New York. It's fun to have New York kind of be involved in basketball like 24/7 right now. But I don't really believe in this Knicks team. I think that it might be a bad thing that they're doing this well without Randall, and maybe they can reassess next. I hope this Knicks team could get better, but they need a little bit more.
Trade them.
Hey, I mean, I was just about to move into this. I was thinking about this last night, right? This is a stray thought came across my mind that I haven't really pondered yet or even considered. Has Julius Randle played his last game in a Knicks jersey, right? The
That's
Knicks
not
have
a hot
been
take. That's not a hot take. Yes.
I haven't seen anyone talk about this. I haven't seen anyone.
Oh, no. I mean, my relatives are born and raised in New York. You know what I'm saying? And I would say that they are indicative of the common Knicks fan.
Respectfully,
right?
they can be excluded from this discussion. New Yorkers.
Yeah.
I remember last year, Julius Randle. They every year they seem to be wanting to trade someone or have some ridiculous take. I think as much as I love the New York fan base, they're one of my favorite teams to support because of the fan base and how passionate the fan base is. I think when it comes to trading players, they get a bit, or just players in general, they get a bit too far left, too far right on certain things. That's my opinion on it.
No, I don't agree with that last part. That's the Laker fans.
I think any big
we want everybody, and we're getting them.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, I saw a video yesterday, right? A Knicks fan naming off. This is totally a tangent. This is just the end of it, right? But a Knicks fan naming off players that he would rather have Jalen Brunson over. The reporter got to Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Knicks fan chose Jalen Brunson. I'm just leaving it at that. And those kind of videos I'm constantly seeing. It's maybe because I'm outside the States, I don't have a direct source, and it's just what's being represented to me through the media. But that's just what I see.
Yeah. Well, Giannis still needed a point guard to win. LeBron needed Kyrie to win. Steph Curry was the point guard that helped Kevin Durant win because every other point guard, you get what I'm saying? Yeah. Denver needed Jamal Murray healthy to win. You need a point guard to win.
Well, everyone needs one of the 5 positions to win a basketball game. But real quick, Mike, what's your thoughts on the Pacers this series? Just before we skip over the Pacers in general. What do you think? What's your thoughts on their point guard, Tyrese Halliburton?
I like Tyrese Halliburton, but I know he's been hurt. So everybody's like, "Oh, Halliburton has to do this and this and that and that." He was playing to try to get first team All NBA, like contractual things, and it's I just hope that he makes it through without any further types of issues, and can get back fully healthy. But I mean, I like this Pacers thing. I've liked them for a while. I'm glad they're over the whole trying to trade Miles Turner thing that they were on for 5 years or something like that. But because it gives them an actual like path. Like, okay, we're going this way instead of, oh yeah, we like him, but we like him too. Oh wait, look at that guy over there. You know what I mean? Like you said about the Jason Kidd signing his contract thing. It sets a level of just. I think that's why Giannis signs his contracts. Everybody's like, "Oh, or is he gonna leave? They're gonna trade him." Let me sign this contract so y'all can talk about something else. And I think the Pacers they need to figure it out with Siakam though, but because he's a free agent after this, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so yeah, they need to figure out the Siakam thing, but I think they traded him to keep him. So this Pacers team looks good. I just think they need time. Like I like that they were actually able to get out of the first round and everything. And I like that I like what they put together. But I think teams usually after a year, after they come together the first year, we don't see the real version of them until the following year. So yeah. But in the current playoffs right now, I like they're like tough. You know what I mean? They are a tough, gritty team, especially New York is they got injuries, man. I mean, Julius included. Who knows if Anunoby? Yeah, Anunoby is hurt. Mitchell Robinson is out for 4 to 6 weeks, right? But New York still like, man.
Second season-ending injury.
Yeah, it's just an interesting.
Props
yeah,
props to the Knicks.
I mean,
flowers to the Knicks.
But
flowers to Tibbs.
Oh, you sure? You serious? Or are you being?
No, flowers to Tibbs. I mean, you got
flowers. Okay,
they're shallow on defense. With bigs, and they have Isaiah Harkenstein playing great minutes right now. But yeah, Colin, what's your thoughts on the Pacers real quick in this series?
I mean, you know me. I'm a big Halliburton fan. To me, I mean, from where we left off last episode, I think he definitely responded to your guys' desire to find something more, find that next gear, to be a little bit more aggressive, to be a little bit more assertive. And in this entire series, even though the Knicks still lead 2-1, I mean, with the exception of game 1, well, fine. So games 2 and 3, I mean, he definitely put it on himself to try to kind of will this team to the finish line, and unfortunately they were able to execute better in game 3. But yeah, I mean, I like this Pacers team. I'm with Michael. I'm with all you guys. I think they're definitely building something that I think is not just fun but sustainable. And as it pertains to Halliburton specifically, like, he's definitely not close to what I believe his peak will be.
Or could be, yeah.
I think he's got. I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and I like the way he described it. He said, "I think Halliburton is like maybe a year or two from like an SGA like type leap." And I get it. I really do see that. Not necessarily stylistically, but in terms of like just how everything you do well, it's going to become like so second nature and so dominant. Like, you're just dominant in those specific things, and he just, I mean, despite being like kind of lanky, I mean, he moves so smooth. I don't know if that's why he looks like he moves so smooth,
Yeah.
But I mean, like the types of shots and angles, right, that he takes are just, that's when you're good, So I like it. I like what they're doing. I think I still, before, I know we didn't put it on film, but I think I picked the Knicks to win in 6. Like, I don't think the Pacers are going to be a pushover. I expect them to to tie the series.
Yeah, I also think that the Knicks are going to advance in this series. I was a huge Halliburton guy this whole year. The first round of the playoffs, I started to sell some of my stocks. I'm not going to lie. You guys heard it. And the reason why I didn't like that is because Halliburton was so scared to shoot over like 18 shots. Like, that was his peak, I think, that first series. Like, he just was not shooting. I like Halliburton. He's a good, efficient, playmaker, makes good decisions. I think my one nick with him, I like guards who pass a lot to get everyone involved. But he just does not. Yeah, he doesn't. Sometimes he overpasses. He's not looking for his shot, and he's looking for other people. Is a little too much. CJ McConnell has played great this series. Like, that guy, like holy cow, this guy looks like he's going to be on a playoff roster for the next like five or 6 years the way he's playing now. Like he's just kind of becoming like almost like a Ricky Rubio kind of veteran of just like maturity kind of guy, that backup point guard. But I this Knicks team is gritty, and I just think how deep they are and just their passionate fan base, and just, you know, this is like for them, every game feels like an NBA finals to their fan base because they're so deprived. This team means so much. Jalen Brunson means so much to them right now. They love this guy. They love this team. They love how they play. They love how gritty they play. And I think that over there, just the media and the mass love and support that kind of the whole country kind of feels towards this Knicks team is going to let this Knicks team just kind of go over the hump a little bit. Yeah, they're shallow, and it is a weaker Eastern Conference, but I just think with everything that this team has going for it, just in morale standpoint and just the level of support and care that everyone's shown into this team, I think they're going to win this series eventually. Nick, what's your thoughts on the Pacers, real quick? Do you think they have a chance with the Knicks?
Look, I mean, I don't know how to say this without sounding rude. I want to give the Pacers their flowers, obviously, but imagine telling a Pacers fan that they might make the conference finals this season, before the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just such a. I think the cards have fallen. They've fallen perfectly, right? They've run into a depleted Bucks roster in the first round, which I didn't pick them to beat. No one picked them to beat, right? I don't believe I saw anyone picking the Pacers to win that. So props to them. Even the Bucks roster was depleted. The injuries are part of the game. They won that series. Now they have a chance to win another series, potentially because OG Anunoby is out, right? A key piece in those first two games. But I would love to see the Pacers in the conference finals, right? I mean, the matchup could potentially be Pacers and Celtics. I think that'd make for a really, really fun series. I don't know how
the Larry Bird
series, but it'd be fun. It'd be really, really fun. But sort of moving on now to the Celtics and the Cavaliers series, it was tied at 1 apiece until last night, when the Celtics sort of ran away with it right at the end. It wasn't necessarily close. I think it was hovering around 8 to 9 points for a large portion of the second half, right until the end. And then, as I said, the Celtics ran away with it. Colin, what are your thoughts on the game?
This is exactly why I said several episodes ago that I'm not prepared to break up Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley. You're exactly seeing why Jarrett Allen is very important to that team, both of them, because now asking Mobley, especially because like Chet, he's still in the process of adding physical strength, and having him play like a low drop and being like a rim protector, that's not maximizing his skills, but they're doing it because they're out of bigs other than Tristan Thompson. And I gotta admit, I make fun of him quite often, especially from all our years playing, the Warriors and the Cavs, but he's actually made some pretty good plays in this series. So kudos to him, old man strength. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of what I was saying earlier, again, on one of our earlier episodes. I like Donovan Mitchell. I like Darius Garland. I'm skeptical whether or not they're the right fit. And, it happens inevitably, right? Someone is going to take the flack for when your team's not winning. It seems like Darius Garland is that guy. And I agree, right? Like what you guys were saying earlier, you want to see him be a little bit more aggressive. You want to see him looking for his own shot. But, it's easier said than done, trying to find that fine balance between, are you trying to play, complement Donovan Mitchell, or are you deferring to Donovan Mitchell? He had some really good plays late last night, in last game. But that's what I'm saying. There just does not seem to be that consistent chemistry between the two of them. And at that point, you'd kind of wish you'd rather have, a more traditional 3-and-D wing next to him or next to Mitchell. But I mean, all things considered, I still think this could go 6. I mean, that would have been my pick. I thought it was going to be Celtics in 6. If Jared Allen comes back, I feel a little bit more confident in that. But I mean, on the flip side, though, the Celtics wings are significantly more talented than the Cavs. I think that's obvious. But I mean, the Celtics are also showing that they are very thin, in the front court. And, there are times where the Cavs have been putting them in a lot of crazy mismatches, and using their defensive schemes against them where, every time they try, like, for example, last night, they tried to start the game with Tatum on Mobley, right? In order to prevent having Horford being switched on to Donovan Mitchell or Garland, and yet he still ends up on Donovan Mitchell and Garland. It's things like that, right? Or if it's not Horford, then it's Luke Cornett. That's even worse, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're JB Bickerstaff. He gets a lot of criticism, but I think he comes in with really good game plans. Using the roster that he has at his disposal. So I look forward to seeing what the Cavs have in store for the Celtics. And again, I'm really, like all Cavs fans, paying attention, see if Jared Allen's available.
Right. Well, yeah, Mike, you should want to follow that up. You should have made a bit of a.
You said me?
Yes. Yeah.
I was literally gonna lead with the same thing. Like this series is over unless Jared Allen comes back because they need more rim. They need more rim protection. They need their like stout rim protector, and then that also on offense allows for Evan Mobley to stretch a little bit and not have to play in the paint and potentially hurt himself like we almost seen. You know what I mean? Yesterday. Yeah. I also agree with the Darius Garland point, and I was going to throw out a name that I meant to throw out when we were talking about the Pacers and the Knicks as far as the injuries, and that's Ben Mathurin. It would be nice if Ben Mathurin and Garland, could switch, but I mean,
that's okay. I thought you meant it'd be nice if Ben Mathurin was back, but okay.
Yeah.
No, if Ben Mathurin, that's the type of player Donovan Mitchell needs next to him. Like I've seen Donovan Mitchell actually look him off a lot yesterday. Especially towards the end of the game where he just threw his hands up. He's like, come on. And Don was just at the top, going towards the left wing or whatever, acting like he just didn't hear him, see him, nothing. So, and I'm just like, is there something going on? We know Donovan had a history with Rudy Gobert, and he only would give him the ball once a game. You will give a black hole of a center the ball one time a game. Like, come on, man. So I'm gonna start paying attention to that in particular because let me not get. I'm forward thinking all season wise.
Real quick. Based on what you just said, I mean, let's be clear, right? That was Darius Garland's team before they traded Donovan Mitchell. Darius Garland was an all-star.
Yes.
Cavs, right. So I don't think you're completely far-fetched by saying maybe there's friction or not friction, but you know what I'm saying, right? So
and then you notice when one is out, the other plays
amazing.
When Darius is gone, Donovan's crazy. When Donovan's gone, Darius is crazy, which means that they are basically one and the same. They just Donovan looks more imposing, you know what I mean? But they got to get rid of one of them. If this doesn't pan out, they miraculously beat the Boston Celtics and yay, we had a better season, whatever. They have to figure something out. They got to make a decision. And I know it's probably Donovan leaving because, he's Donovan Mitchell. He wanted to be somewhere else anyway. He got sent there against his will. Yeah. So, we could see this team breaking up, but then becoming where it was going. Like all young teams, that's like bringing Donovan Mitchell to OKC. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, he's taken away from SGA. He's taken away from Chet Holmgren. You know what I mean? Because you have to make room and you have to make way for him. But instead, instead of letting Evan Mobley continue to develop his game and letting Darius Garland continue to rise and become the best version of himself, they were like, Donovan Mitchell here. Because I don't know what they were thinking. Like we're chasing a championship or something.
Having said that,
you got the Celtics, Bucks, and Sixers over there. No, I want him in Detroit. I want him in Detroit. Like I was sitting there watching that game, and I'm like, yeah, I do. I want him in Detroit. He won't take away from Cade. He might take away from, but we'll probably end up having to move somebody I don't want to move, but I would love to have Donovan Mitchell. With what we
I think
have
it all
constructed here, yeah.
I just
Go ahead.
know that Donovan Mitchell in free agency is not going to Detroit. The guy hates small markets.
You
The
never
guy
know. You
hated
never know.
He kind of hates Cleveland.
You
There's no
never
way he's
know.
going to Detroit.
You never know. You
Does
never
he
know,
hate
man. Like
Cleveland?
I think he. I don't. I think he prefers 20
Lukewarm.
other. I
Right.
think he prefers probably 10 other organizations, 10 other cities in the United States
Yeah.
over Cleveland. So,
and what 10 other city? Oh, I think I was about to say other than
10 other-
Detroit. Like
10 other
what other?
cities.
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
Never mind.
But
We'll
I
talk
checked
about
my
that in
old.
the
I checked my
off-season
old mock
pod.
draft. I checked my
If-
old
if-
mock draft from 2017. I had Mitchell going to the Pistons. You guys
Pistons,
picked
yes.
Kennard. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we were
Right,
supposed to pick him. He thought we were going to get him in it. Like it's
But Nick, what do you think that the Cavs' biggest weakness is this series?
Yeah, well, I think just sort of piggybacking off what Mike said, it's a complete error in roster construction, right? I mean, the issue here is skill overlap. You got two guys that effectively do very similar things on the court, and I think again you encapsulated it perfectly, Mike. Darius Garland was an all-star before Donovan Mitchell was there, and then when Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell gets there, right, they're pretty good. You know, there's a season there where they're decent, and then earlier this season,
yep.
Darius Garland's
They
out.
both went out. Mhm.
Suddenly, Donovan Mitchell is an MVP candidate. Whether you think he was a legitimate one or not, he was in those discussions, right? That's how good of a run they went on with him at the helm. And just a side note, Evan Mobley wasn't on that team either, if you want to read into that at all. But yeah, I think it's just a complete error in roster construction. That's the issue here, right? I mean, we addressed it at the start of the season with the two bigs, right? And my focus there was that you got two, skill overlap bigs, and my focus has shifted from that end of the roster construction to the backcourt. I think the problem here is in the backcourt completely. As Con said it with all the foresight of the world, I mean, my focus is switched completely, and I mean, I think partially that's because Evan Mobley has started to develop some trace of a jump shot. I think that's what a lot of it's come down to.
Yeah,
it's a big part of it. It's a big part of it. Yeah, but good.
No, I just to put my 2 cents on this. Like, I think the Celtics are just the best team in the Eastern Conference. A lot of people are wondering like how many games are they going to lose like to get to the finals, and they've lost 2, and I think that's a kind of a big shock for a lot of people. I don't trust this Cavs team. I think they struggle scoring. I really am a defensive guy when it comes to basketball. I love when teams are defensive minded, but this Cavs team just seems like it relies too much on a Donovan Mitchell 40-point night to win a game. Max Strus, George Niang, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Chris LeVert. These guys are not like being productive. They're not like that Heat team last year that just had 7 guys averaging like 10. Like, it wasn't a fair wealth distribution of wealth. It feels very Donovan Mitchell centric. And once again, that's all right in the regular season. You'll win some games off that. Guys can get hot for you, and that can kind of motivate a team to finish the season strong. But in the postseason, if you have one guy that you're depending on to score, it's never worked in NBA history. Jordan, the greatest, people argue the greatest player of all time, greatest scorer of all time. He wasn't the only one scoring on those Bulls teams. He had help, and how great Donovan Mitchell is right now. He needs his other guys to provide, and he kind of needs to trust him a little bit more. And hopefully, JB Bickerstaff can get Evan Mobley, all these guys more involved than just rim rolling to the basket, but actually getting shots for them, open looks.
Yep.
Right. Well, I think you sort of summarized that perfectly. But yeah, should we start to wrap it up?
Yeah. I mean,
Yep.
yeah. Just I mean, it's been super fun. Every series is at 2-1 right now.
Very close.
So there's a good time to be an NBA fan right now in the second round.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. This has been the Box Score Podcast. Make sure to share and rate us 5 stars on Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube. Thanks for listening, and we will see you guys next week.
Take care.